connecting. Okay. Amen. All right. Do the asking for forgiveness. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bhante bhuri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kam. Okay. Test. Can hear. Achayang kamame bhante. Sorry. Achayang kamame sangha. Supatipanna anuttara. Sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripunang. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Sura Meraya Majapamadatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Nacha Kita Wadita Visukadasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Nyanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta. Right. Oh, you all feel cold. I'm sweating everything inside. Maybe I woke up. Woke up is it's really warm up the body. Okay. All right, let us start with Karunā before we start the Dhamma Talk. So relax here. Relax here. Relax the body. Any tension, any tightness or tiredness, I will slowly let them all go. Keep the mind open, peaceful, present and mindful. Let go of all the thoughts, plans, memories. Just be here in the present. So from top of the head, we relax. Relax the face, the forehead, neck and shoulders, chest, stomach, back, hips, buttocks, to the thighs, to the knees, calf, ankle, soles, toes. So relax the whole body. Keep the mind open, peaceful, calm, mindful, and free. Now let us start with a place where there are suffering around you. Maybe a hospital, a clinic, or anywhere the suffering is around you. Then with our heart, we spread the compassion and we wish them, may they be free from all their sufferings. Whatever suffering they are going through, may they be free from all their suffering. Now let us look into ourselves as if from the outside. We look at ourselves, that we too go through all kinds of mental or physical suffering. Then we wish ourselves, whatever physical suffering I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be healed from all this suffering. Whatever suffering accumulated from day to day, may I too be free from all this suffering. May I too be free from all the suffering due to this samsara. Whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be healed from all this suffering. Whatever physical suffering I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering I accumulated from day to day, may I too be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cause of birth and rebirth, may I too be free from all this suffering. Now let us spread our compassion. Spread the compassion to all the beings around us. May they be humans or non-humans, guardian devas of this center, other devas residing in this locality, neighborhood. To all the animals and the unfortunate spirits. May all of us here, whatever mental suffering we are going through, may we all be free from all this suffering. Whatever physical suffering we are going through, may we all be cured from all this suffering. Whatever suffering we accumulated from day to day, may we all be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may we all too be free from all this suffering. May all beings around here, whatever mental suffering they are going through, may they be free from all those suffering. Whatever physical sickness, illness they are going through, may they all be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering accumulated from day to day, may they all be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, due to aging, illness, may they too be free from all their suffering. Now let us spread. Let us spread our compassion wider, farther, to all the beings, to all the beings in this country, to all the beings, may they be humans or non-humans, devas, petas, or animals big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all beings in this country, whatever mental suffering, mental fear, anger, may they all be free from all their suffering. Whatever physical illness or sickness, may they too be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to the accumulation from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all their suffering. May all beings in this country, whatever mental suffering, fear or sadness, may they be free from all their suffering. Whatever physical illness or sickness, may they too be free from all their suffering. May they too be free from all their suffering due to living from day to day. May they too be free from all their suffering. May they too be free from all their suffering due to the cause of birth and rebirth. Now let us expand our Karunā to all the beings in this whole wide world, all beings without exception. May they be our loved ones, near or far away. May they be those whom we do not know, wherever they are. And to those whom we dislike or those who dislike us. To all the guardian devas of the sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, to all the petas, to all the animals, big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all beings in this world, whatever mental suffering they are going through, may they be free. May they be healed from all their suffering. Whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they be free. May they be cured from all their suffering. May all beings in this world able to live with compassion and kindness, and not in cruelty, violence, or war. May all beings in this world, may they be free from all their suffering due to this cycle of birth and rebirth. May all beings in this world, whatever mental suffering they are going through, may they be free. May they be cured from all their suffering. Whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they be cured from all their suffering. Whatever suffering they accumulated from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they all be free from all those suffering. Now let us spread the compassion. Spread out the compassion without limitation, without boundary, to all beings in this universe or universes, all beings from the highest planes of existence down to the lowest planes of existence. and all the beings in all the world systems. May all beings be free from all their mental suffering that they are going through. And whatever physical suffering, physical illness or sickness that they are going through, may they be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, existing from day to day, may they all be free from all their suffering. Or whatever suffering that due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they be free from all their suffering. May all beings, whatever mental suffering they are going through, may they be cured, may they be healed from all their suffering. Whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they all be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering that arises from day to day, may they be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they be free from all those suffering. May all beings be free from all their suffering that they are going through. May all beings be free from all their suffering that they are going through. And slowly we let go of the compassion. Bring attention back to the body, to the rise and fall of the abdomen. Feel the present motion. Feel the body sitting back to the present. Then we slowly open our eyes. Okay. For those online, make sure you don't touch your mute button. Let's stay mute now. Because whatever you do in the house, everybody can hear you, including the yogis here. So make sure you don't touch the mute button, the microphone button. Stay mute. Now, before we start the talk, since we are doing compassion, now it's also good that you know what you are doing. Because sometimes we do not know how to differentiate between compassion and metta. When we are doing compassion, we are focusing on the suffering aspect of beings, including yourself. Whereas when you are doing metta, we are focusing on the well-being of a person or a being. We may use the same words, but our nature of how we focus is different. When we do compassion, say for example, may I be free, may all beings be free from all their physical suffering. Then here, physical suffering is easier to see because that involves sickness and so on. Mental suffering, again, also it's easy to see because it may be involve fear, sadness, and trauma, and so on, emotional states. So when we go through those words, at least you understand, not just me going through only, and you follow like a parrot mentally. Yeah. When we say that beings go through the suffering from day to day, what it means here is that beings, for example, if like you go through things like working, career. You go through emotional things day to day, responsibility, duties, searching for food. Searching for food, you may think that it's not a suffering, but to an animal, it is a suffering. Either they search for food or they become food for others. And this is suffering. Yeah. And yeah, when we say that due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, the suffering, this one perhaps due to like old age, due to suffering, illness, but you have to extend it to like other beings. Other beings, like for example, hell beings. Hell beings have to exist every moment, and they suffer, and they die, reborn immediately at the same place, suffer, die, reborn, suffer, die, suffer, die. Even animals, they exist for a short while, then they die, then reborn again, all over again as an animal. They go through all the suffering, and so on. So imagine you have to look at all beings in a wider category, as far as your mind can able to understand. Then the idea of these words become more clearer. So when we do compassion, we look at the suffering of beings. So you yourself also go through suffering, even right now. Even right now, we go through mental or physical suffering one way or another. So with that, we focus on the compassion. We focus on the suffering and we arouse our compassion towards oneself or towards all beings. Now, when we do this compassion, we are not trying to cure all beings. We are not trying to help all beings. It's impossible. Compassion here, it's a state of mind that we extend to all beings, including oneself. Not in other schools of thoughts that you must help and you must physically do it. That is different. And this is divine abidings, it's mental. It's spread out to all beings. When we use the word in the metta, when we use the word in the metta, when we say may all beings be free from all suffering, we are not looking into the suffering, but it is a goodwill, good wishes. It's a goodwill or good wishes. We are not looking at their suffering in that sense, but it's more like may all beings be free from all, may all beings be well and happy, let's say, you are looking into to the general aspect of the being. So there's a difference here. So it's a different state of mind. Okay. Let's just come back to that day we talked about. So the day we talked about that 2 days ago, Thursday night, yes. So on Thursday night, we talk about the Dhammanupassana, how we can able to pay attention to this Dhammanupassana, and what are the things that you have to look out for. In this Dhammanupassana, basically you have to be skillful in your bodily sensation, skillful in your Vedana, and skillful also in your Chitta. So when it comes to Dhammanupassana, it involves interaction of these three. How they interact, how they interconnected, how they interdependent with each other. With this, we also notice that objects arises in a different discipline, different category of objects. And then they influence each other. For example, that day we talk about the hearing process. Hearing, then it triggers off thinking. Thinking arises, it triggers off emotion, sadness, happiness. Sometimes with that sadness, happiness, it triggers again onto the bodily aspect. Maybe your body starts to move a bit, tighten a bit, depending. So with those things, when a yogi pays attention to those things, he look at them one after another, and in a repeated process. So when he noticed this way, he finds that you wouldn't interpret it as non-self actually, but it is already impinged on you, whether you realize it or not. You don't have to think of it as non-self, but you are actually seeing non-self, which is much more important in Vipassana than thinking about non-self. It's already doing its job. So you will see it in many ways. You see it in many ways. Sometimes sensation of the pain arises. When the pain arises, it triggers off again like a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, a lot of anticipating. Then you note, thinking, wanting, desire. Then again, it triggers off anger. So there are a number of things happening even when we are noticing the pain. And so the subject here, the object here is the pain. And whatever that's surrounding the pain that's being triggered off, you also can able to notice all these things is happening. Not just only pain, heart. I mean, in the beginning part, we do that. And it's perfectly all right. But when you're more skillful, and hopefully you're able to develop, then you begin to notice that there are so many other objects that surrounding the pain. They are all interconnected. Interconnected. Usually, is the anger part of it, or the aversion, a slight aversion that arises together with the pain. So the pain is one thing, aversion is another thing. So sometimes you may see that the stronger the stronger the pain arises, the stronger the aversion take place. Then not only that, restless mind also starts to come in. On other times, you notice that your pain, then anger is not around. Thinking is not around. And you know that too. Thinking is not there. Anger is not there. When it's not there, you also is not knowing it's not there. But of course, this is just only a brief moment you're aware of it. But finally, you're back again to noticing the pain. And that is good. Because when it's not there, you also know it's not there. When it's there, you also know it's there. So many times in the Satipatthana, especially in the Dhammanupassana, you see that the Buddha mentioned what is not there, also you know. What is there, you also know. At least your mind is alert. Now, can you hear me on the internet? Tonight now, something wrong. Can you hear? Okay. Suddenly all the connection all disappear. There you are. You see? Can you hear? That's one. There you are. Hold on, everybody. Okay. That sounds different. Try again. Test. I think the master volume has a problem right here this time. Okay. What was talking? Huh? Oh yeah, pain. Yes, correct. Pain. All right. Now, as I said, the pain, when it's all connected to each other, you see things much more clearer. You see things like not only just the pain that is arising, but this time you see thoughts, emotion, anger that's connected with all the pain. And it's wonderful. And sometimes you notice that the emotion aspect of it is not there. The anger and so on, they are not there. And it's interesting, you know it's not there, you know it's not there. When it's there, you know it's there. Then it comes to the state of the noting mind. You see, the state of a noting mind is not always the same thing when you note an object. Because the state of the noting mind, it comprises of a number of factors. For example, again in the Dhammanupassana, the 7 factors of enlightenment. And all these factors of enlightenment, let's don't worry about the word enlightenment. Just notice that there are the mental factors that's connected with that state of noting. Yeah. Most of the time, we use the word mindfulness just to pay attention to the object. We thought that it's just only mindfulness, but there are other things that are surrounding it that is equally important for us to take note as we become more skillful. Yeah. Now, sometimes, for example, you begin to notice that your noticing become more interesting. Yeah. There's interest in the noting. Sometimes your noting is just like very plain, bonky tableau, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, nothing interesting. Then suddenly something happened. Something happened and then it re-alert back the mind. And then here, the interest takes place. Actually, it's a joy factor. It comes as an interest and you pay attention to the object of the meditation. And then your mind is like engrossed into what is going on. Yeah. Sometimes that for example, like your, let's say sleepiness arises. Then you push your noting a bit more with the arousing of that energy. Then you see that the mind becomes much more alert, much more energetic. Viriya is there. Yeah? Sometimes you will notice that your mind is more plain and just noticing something easily. Then another time you notice that your mind is very sharp, paying attention to what is really going on. Again here, the aspect of the investigation or the wisdom factor is taking place right now. Or sometimes you notice that you know that certain object, fear arises, and then you notice that the mind is not affected at all, kind of like very stable. No, its fear is there, the hearing is there, everything is there, but your whole mind is steady. Equanimity become clearer at this moment. Yeah? So even with that noting mind itself, you begin to see the interrelationship, how you pay attention to an object and how the state of mind is different. Understanding those things, it helps you to again open up many other areas. Because when it's not there, you know it's not there. You know that the virya hasn't come in when you are drowsy. You know that you need the aroused virya. And perhaps in the past you have done, like for example, sitting and touching. You know, sitting and touching, able to arouse some degree of viriya. So you switch over to sitting and touching. You're not sitting, touching, and then you find that the sleepiness, you overcome the sleepiness. Then you notice what is going on this time, So you see that sometimes one subject, just like sleepiness, you can look at it from a different angle. From a Citta Nupassana point of view or Dhamma Nupassana point of view. And yet, y'all don't like sleepiness. And yet, you don't like all the restless mind. It's not to like or don't like. It's actually, you can able to notice them in a different manner. Even when you look at rising and falling, even how the mind states is involved in noticing the object, then it's also become very interesting. Sometimes the state of mind becomes more alert. Sometimes it's more calm. Sometimes sometimes the mind is much more present, aware. Not only that, you find that sometimes even viriya and the mindfulness comes in, your body also straighten up. So there are many factors that you can able to aware of what is going on with the state of mind, with a different state of mind, or with the noting mind itself. So those things we can cover a lot. So many areas we can cover. Perhaps longer retreat, then we cover. short retreat, we just go through a little bit here and there. There are many other things we can still talk about it. Now, when it comes to this development of this Vipassana, so you know that which are the objects that you have to take up and which objects that you have to let go. When you know which object that you have to take up, then you pay attention to them thoroughly, precisely, seeing in their different nature, in their different characteristic, seeing them in different form of noting, different form of, this one. Then you'll find that the progress will take place. Problem is that we want the progress faster, but it's not going any faster. You see, the progress of the Vipassana take place every time, every moment you pay attention to the objects. Every moment you are precisely noting an object. That is progress. Progress is not just only all the insight knowledge and all that. This is a very technical way of describing the path of development. It's a very conceptual thing when we talk about the 16 insight knowledge and so on. Not to say that we do not know. We know all those things. But when it comes to actual development, is every moment that you pay attention to an object, then your mind, then you are already in the state of progress. Even you turn on that faucet or that tap, and you are mindfully turning on, and you're precisely turning on, you're noticing what is going on. That is again is a progress. But we don't see those things as progress. Because every moment is going to accumulate. It's going to build up. Now, sometimes, some yogis, the progress of this Vipassana much more faster. So most of them, slowly. Yeah. Sometimes people ask me, how far can we go in one retreat? How far did you go in one retreat? Not very far. No, not very far. We all know that. Even we spend here the whole day walking, sitting, we're not very far. Sometimes some people says that only you have this samatha meditation, only you can go very far. Yeah. It's not that too. Because you want to develop samatha meditation, it is also difficult. You also have to spend a lot of time doing that. Yeah. With that, a lot of yogis that I've seen, once they get attached to all this samatha, comfort and clarity, then they switch over to Vipassana. Ayo, pain here, pain there. What do they do? Go back again to the pleasantness. They get very slow down. Yeah. So all these things, don't ever think that just because you do a lot of other form of practices, when you come to Vipassana, everything much more better. No. You'll still go through your pain. But of course, perhaps, if you have some degree of samatha meditation, then it ease off on the defilements, the hindrances, which is good. Because development of samatha meditation also develops mindfulness, concentration, all the faculties of the mind. It's not just only concentration. The faculties has to be balanced also when you're developing samatha meditation. Now, of course, we're not going to be able to discuss on that. But of course, there are certain paths this way some yogis want to take up. So, like for example, some people like to take up with this metta and Karunā or divine abidings. Some people able to take up in breath out breath. It's fine if you want to take up with those things. It's perfectly all right. But when it comes to Vipassana, then again you have to pay attention to those things precisely, because the precision of that noticing is where you're going to progress. No precision of noting, no thoroughness in the noting, there's no progress. So, when a yogi able to notice all this tightness, softness, warmness, coldness, heart pounding, heart beating, impulsion of the heart area, and so on. When you're noticing this way, and so many things, no matter how it comes, slowly and slowly, the mind becomes much more clearer, day after day. And when you go through certain development, sometimes in the development of this path, this development, this Vipassana, sometimes there are significant experiences that you may see. Sometimes the experiences may not so significant, and you just may pass through, and yet you pass through. It's just that you don't have the interpretation or the thinking about it. Now, take for example, even in the first insight, that when we can able to distinguish clearly between what is mind and what is body. Like for example, when you're doing a walking meditation, you note your lifting, pushing, dropping. Then you notice that the mind that is paying attention to the lifting, pushing, dropping. And you notice the mind very clearly. And how the noting of the mind is connected to the lifting, pushing, dropping. You're aware of the mind clearly, and also you're aware of the lifting, pushing, dropping clearly. Now with that, when you can see this both clearly together, for example, which is Dhammanupassana in a way, then you begin to see the first insight, for example, and first insight is not just one time like that. It's going to be repeated again and again, many ways, and many times, in many ways, and also in many times. Now, if a yogi became to more careful in the noticing, then also, for example, even they note like rising, falling. And the same thing happened also. The noting mind become very clear. Here also sometimes even in the first insight also, is also able to distinguish certain state of mind also. Even like, for example, you note seeing. Seeing is a consciousness, but noting is another consciousness. There's two separate consciousness that's happening also. Sometimes yogi able to see those things too. Seeing, knowing, seeing, knowing, seeing. Sometimes they can able to distinguish those different states. But many times the yogi may distinguish the different states of the body and mind. The moment you can able to start off with distinguishing of all these things, which is wonderful, very good. At least you begin to enter into Vipassana. Even sometimes when you notice the pain, you can notice that the pain is that you notice pain, knowing, pain. Hardening. Sometimes you notice that the hardening and the feeling is different thing. One is the feeling, one is the hardening. One is the tightness and one is the feeling. Sometimes the yogis can able to distinguish these type of things. And it's good. There's nothing insignificant about it. Because just because that the yogi think that watching pain is so difficult. Yeah. But it can able to slowly begin to differentiate those things. And that is about what progress is. And slowly begin to develop something. Yeah. Usually as you progress, in the beginning of the progress of this Vipassana, there will be a lot of suffering that you have to go through. Pain, sadness, not sadness, pain, pulling, and all kinds of difficulty. Some people have more, some people have less, but you will definitely have. Yeah. So when you begin with these things, when you start off with this one, then when you're ability to see the distinguish of this mind and matter, mind and body, it also, another word is the perception of anatta. It's a perception of anatta. And that time you don't see a third party. It's one way how we see anatta. One way how we see anatta. And of course, it doesn't tell you like this is anatta. You just don't even know. But it is happening at that moment of time. So when you noticing that, you see, here when you look at how one is mind and one is matter, when you can able to differentiate them, it also, as I said, falls under Dhammanupassana in one way. So when you see those things, and when you see those things also, as you can see that in the Satipatthana, this Dhammanupassana, the force of noticing on Dhammanupassana, then the perception of anatta becomes prominent, becomes clear. And you're going to come in different stage, in different ways also. Even in the second insight, for example, that you notice the intention very clearly, multiple intention, multiple movements, for example, and that also falls under Dhammanupassana. Because again here, it's very clearly that you can able to notice the non-self aspect, the interdependence here, the interdependence of this mind and body. And it's interesting. So a lot of times when you do Dhammanupassana, you don't realize it, but it's okay. It's perfectly okay. You don't have the theoretical aspect of it, doesn't matter. It's sometimes in Dhamma Talk, I'll talk about it, like now. We talk about it, but other times perhaps we don't talk about it. So it doesn't matter even you do not know. What is matter that you pay attention, you note the objects. That is the most important thing. Theoretically, you doesn't know, doesn't matter. Now, as you develop further in this Vipassana practice, changes is going to take place a lot. Nothing is going to stay the same. Your rising, falling, when you see this thing as just rise and fall, it's going to change into many ways, into many patterns of motion, of how it moves. It may not be your up and down, forward, backward. It may go round and round. It may go sideways. You may breathe in. You know that you are breathing in, but it falls even deeper. Normally you think that it's going to rise, but no, this time it falls deeper. Rising, falling also, sometimes the pattern also begin to change, like 1 or 2 times it go rise, fall, after that it go turn, then it go pull, then it go this way, that way, turning, churning, whatever. There's so many ways of how you can able to notice the rising and falling, in so many ways. So whatever ways that it's going to show you, be comfortable with it. Learn to trust your mindfulness, because things are going to show you that you're never going to see before and you never thought about it. And a lot of times yogis tend to follow their own thinking because they think that they are right. What is happening in front there is not right. So you have to be very careful for those things. Small things, but it can hinder your progress. So you must learn to feel it. You must learn to feel what is really going on with the whole movement, lifting, pushing, dropping, and so on. Every little movement are insights. Every form of everything is going to take place. Now this whole progress of this Vipassana, it will fall under, briefly, under anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and this non-self. There's going to be many ways how you're going to see impermanent in Vipassana. Many ways. Many times you talk about impermanence, if we are out there, we use the more of a general term. Everything you get old, impermanent. Weather change, impermanent. You change your car, also impermanent. I don't know whether you think about that. Whatever, sometimes everything changes. We use the word impermanent, we use the word anicca. But that is not the right way of how we use anicca. That one is a very general way of using. Not to say that you are wrong, but not deep enough. The way that how Vipassana type of anicca is so much more deeper than your general day-to-day thinking of anicca. Here the anicca, when the perception of anicca is that you don't think about it. You only see it changes, happening again and again. And it happening in so many ways. Things are turning and so on. Now, if you find that now, let's say, you know your pain. Let's say you know your pain. Your pain going strong, and then after it slowly disappear. Then after that, the pain changed to another pain. Okay, from tight pain to become pulling pain. Let's say, and you see this nature of what is happening. It is right noting, perfectly wonderful noting, and you are doing correctly, noting. But it's not anicca yet. In terms of Vipassana, but you are seeing change already. You're seeing the precursor of anicca. Although you are unable to notice this way. So the nature of this anicca, the deeper aspect of Vipassana anicca comes in when you're only able to see the arising and passing away moment after moment. Moment after moment. That things, the moment it arises, is already gone. The next moment it arises, gone. And it goes into a flow and so on. Uh, uh. So the beginning part is the precursor of anicca. You are doing right, not to say you are doing wrong. You are doing right. Strictly speaking, that part is not anicca yet, strictly speaking, but general speaking, we also masuk lah into anicca. So, it's still okay lah. Because it's part of the whole precursor thing. So you see, the nature of how you turn from all these changes here a little bit towards the arising and passing away. Sometimes the nature of how the object starts to pick up its speed. It picks up speed in terms of the noting. You can see that, for example, you see this one pain grow less, and then after that, another pain grow less, after that rising and falling, after that another pain again, after that another itchiness again. So sometimes you move from here, 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 here. Now here a little bit noting, there a little bit noting, there a little bit noting. Then sometimes when things become faster, here just do noting, that one do noting, this one only do noting, this one only do noting, then it keep on moving. And then it becomes faster, just only one noting here, one noting, one noting, one noting, one noting, one noting. Things start to pick up, So here when it goes in that way, sometimes yogi may feel that they're not precise anymore. They think that they're not doing, in the past, I've only seen one thing and I scrutinize it carefully, nicely, seeing how it come and how it go. Sorry, I haven't seen it, already gone already. Here, haven't seen it carefully, it's already gone. No, here, I haven't seen it, already gone. So they don't feel at ease with it, Some yogis, but it's exactly this nature that's happening. The perception of anicca becomes more clearer. And yet, they want to push it aside. You see what I mean? So it's not easy to see things as they really are. And this is part of the whole progress. You got to learn to allow that objects may change a bit more faster. And sometimes objects change faster, it may also slow down again. Not that it's going to go fast and fast and fast and fast. No, sometimes it's going to slow down a bit more. So sometimes when it slows down a bit more, then the changes also again here become quite obvious. Things arises, you see how it's sustained, you see how exactly it disappears. The pain comes very strongly. Then after that, you notice it, then how exactly it disappears. Completely zero pain, for example. Most of the time when we notice objects, we don't see completely disappear. And it's perfectly all right. Sometimes it shows to you, sometimes it doesn't show to you. Sometimes yogis, many times I hear, yogis tend to note certain objects until it disappears. Until it disappears. Or actually, in the back of your mind, you already want it to disappear. This is a different thing altogether. And it is, you see a lot of times when a yogi pay attention to an object, for example, you notice a pain. The back of your mind, when you note the pain, many yogis tend to want that pain to disappear by noting it. In other words, there's an ulterior motive behind it. You don't see what is going on. Sometimes like itchiness arises. Itchiness arises, sometimes you note the itchiness. Then with the wrong perception, your yogi, the wrong thinking, yogi tend to watch this itchiness until it completely disappears. And that is also not right. You're not supposed to watch it whether it's going to disappear or not. You're going to watch it as they really are. Because as they really are means that sometimes it's not going to disappear. It's going to change. That means it may not be prominent, but it's still there. It may not be so prominent, but it's still there. Other objects become more prominent again. You have to switch over to the next object and pay attention to the other object. But sometimes yogi tend to want to watch until something disappears because back of the mind, you want it to disappear. You want it to go away. And many times, without understanding that attitude of mind, you're going to get stuck. You're going to slow down. Yeah? You're not supposed to watch anything for it to disappear. You are supposed to watch things as they really are. Sometimes also like thinking mind also. When you watch them, when you watch the thinking mind may sometimes it goes into a little bit hanging around there. Earlier on was restless, thinking. After that, it taper off. It slowly taper off, but it doesn't completely disappear. Other objects become more prominent, right? Rising, falling, or whatever, they become more prominent. So during that time, you shouldn't go and want that thinking to disappear. You should just again go back to the rising and falling already, because the rising and falling more prominent. But a lot of times, again, you want it to disappear. Yeah. And that can be very frustrating sometimes. The yogi, how come things are not disappearing? How come my meditation is not perfect? That's where they have going to have a lot of frustration. Now, when you notice these things are changing, you notice these things are changing. Sometimes when it's changing on its own, that you are not wanting it to disappear, neither you want it to arise. You just see it as it is, as it happens. Then as you keep on noticing it happens, sometimes tension arises, unpleasantness arises, difficulty arises. And that type of difficulty, the way that you're noticing in this way, this time, is the aspect of dukkha. The perception of dukkha becomes much more prominent right now. The earlier one, when I said that you want things to disappear, that one is all not dukkha, it's just desire. Whereas this time, when you're actually paying attention to the object and not wishing it to be here or disappear, then as it changes, as it keep on arising and passing away again and again, then the aspect of dukkha becomes very prominent. And the aspect of dukkha come in, it can come in many ways. For example, that it can come in like, you really don't want to meditate on or sometimes it comes in that your 1 hour cannot finish on. So difficult to finish. It's so, even you think that in the past, your rising falling is so nice, kilo, oh, beep, beep, pop, pop, beep, beep, pop, pop. Oh, this time was so terrible. It's like, sometimes as I describe, like you having a laundry, you twist your laundry and you twist some more, and somebody like something is twisting your stomach like that. Twist and twist, dry already, still twist some more. Twist until so difficult. And yet you didn't wish for it. Neither you want it to go away. It just happened on its own. Some people sometimes even the rising falling in the beginning part, it was so nice, easy, give you a lot of clarity. Wonderful, that is earlier. But later part, sometimes they see this rising and falling, it keep on entangling, and it's harder and harder and harder. The more that you pay attention towards it, the more difficult it becomes. And really, that time, very unpleasant. The pain, not the pain, it's the unsatisfactory nature of the whole rising and falling taking place right now. Perhaps that you may be able to see it. So this is one way how the dukkha arises. So don't ever think that your dukkha is just your leg pain, knee pain, buttock pain, everyday pain, sit down already pain. That, of course, that is also dukkha. Not to say that it's not dukkha, but not deep enough. The perception of dukkha is not deep enough yet. It's there. It's all building up. It's building up. It's precursor of a deeper type of dukkha. So the deeper type of dukkha comes with arising and passing away. A lot of changes, a lot of arising and passing away, and you take notice of those things. When it happens, pay attention to it. Sometimes it may come in as you fear to meditate. Sometimes, before you sit down, there's a pip-pop. You're going to go through all those things again. Yeah, you got no choice after all. Some people's dukkha may be stronger. So we're going to see all these things in many ways. You're going to see until you see non-self, and also until enlightenment will take place. Nibbana will take place. Realization of Nibbana. Now here, in all these things, my job is to make sure that realization of Nibbana goes through this anicca, dukkha, anatta in many ways, in many forms. As to go through those things. And this is something that is good for us to understand, and it's good for us to keep in mind. Because nowadays, sometimes I read in the books, Nibbana does not come in this way anymore. You can proclaim any form of Nibbana, that Nibbana can come in just being very calm, very peaceful. That's it. Just because that when you meditate, you see some beings, you see some Buddha coming, you see some Deva coming, you see some Sangha, or see some monks or whatever. Then you think that is also Nibbana. You see some lights, you see some this, and it's also Nibbana. Just because you have first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jhana, you're already arhat already. No vipassana, no nothing. No anicca, no dukkha, no anatta. Just because that you go into a retreat, you just relax, drink a coffee, see the birds fly, so pleasant. Nibbana also. Nowadays, there's a lot of description of Nibbana, but they don't want to go through the understanding of what the Buddha thought, or they misunderstood. Misunderstood. Nevertheless, you've got to be careful. It's your own spiritual progress. It's your own development finally. Teachers are not going to help that to be there for you. So you've got to be wise enough. You've got to be wise enough to know which is the path, which is not the path. Just because everybody is botak, everybody wear the robe, follow. So be careful. Yeah. All right, we'll stop here for tonight. Yeah. Tomorrow, okay. Tomorrow we're going to do something. We're going to do a question and answer. Now, here the question and answer here, it's for the yogis over here, not for the people on online Zoom or where this one. Yeah. So here we have a Q&A session. Normally the Q&A session, what I do is this. You ask the question related to the practice or related to the Dhamma talks or related to the Dhamma. That's connected to the practice. Don't ask the type of questions that nobody can able to answer. How does the deva look like? What for? How does a ghost look like? What for? Or don't ask me about your husband problem. You got problem with your husband, how to solve the problem? I'm not here. I'm not your marriage counselor. I'm just a monk. Ask things like on meditation, on practice, on how to do this and do that. Some explanation. Yeah, maybe I can able to do that. So what we'll do is this. So you come up with some questions. If you have, you don't have, does not matter. I'm not going to force you. If you have, fine. So we're going to put here the box here and also in the mail hall also. So if you got any questions, so by 6 o'clock maybe, or 5 or 6 o'clock, we will come up and pick up the questions. Maybe after lunch, I'll come one round, and evening again, 5, 6 o'clock, I'll come another round to pick up any questions. So in the evening, tomorrow night, we're going to have a Q&A session. Okay? All right. So we'll do the sharing of merits. Idang me bhavanang nibbānasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of Nibbana. Imang no punya bhagang sabba sattanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu.